When Imperial Mandate got reworked, I was thinking about how insane it would be for Bard. And I'll be honest, with moments like these, you would think so too. But when an item gives you 0 tank stats, now I'm not so sure. So I started wondering about 3 things. 1. How much damage is this item actually doing? 2. Is Bard tanky enough with that item? And most importantly, is this an item, like Deadman's, something you can buy every single game? So without further ado, let's test it out. For the first game, we're playing against Seraphine and Senna. Since they're both outrangers, we normally just make short trades with them. But since they warded the middle boss, it means they didn't ward the tri boss. Senna is basically as tanky as Sona. We go for a flank to try chunking her out. We always start with the auto attack and then the Q to make it easier to hit our Q. With that, she's down to 200 HP. You will notice that this was all before minions spawned. So with the massive health advantage, we once again run through the tri-brush, pinging for our Yunara to follow. We force their heal and their flash, making it even harder for them to lane. Senna decided to recall and roam mid, so we decided to follow her. We noticed that the Yon has wasted his Q3, so we moved behind him to cover his escape route. Again, we auto first, and we hit a magnificent stun on the minion for an execute kill. Senna decides that she's Draven and walks up way too far, so with Victor's help, we run her down and get another kill. That was a clean Q on the Yone, you gotta admit that, right? And with that very clean kill on Yon, we head back to base and we buy a ruby crystal and winged moonplate to build towards Deadman's. You might have noticed that these are not the components for Mandate. Since the item gives you ability haste for your Q and R, we want to be tanky enough to survive the fights and use multiple rotations of our abilities. On our way back, we notice that Seraphine and Senna are super pushed up, so we portal behind them since they don't have the damage to one-shot us. We hold our Q for a stun, but they don't really get into a good position and they manage to get away. Since they overstayed though, we can portal the Jarvan in, flash to reposition, and even though Jarvan dies for it, we get 2 really good kills. We try to use the alcove to stall for the Victor, and we almost took out the Lilia, but with her ult, we die before he gets enough damage on her. And then the Victor dies not soon after to the Yon as well. So that was unfortunate, but we have Deadman's Plate now, and that's a massive power spike for us. And with this power spike, we move to mid to help this Victor farm on the tower, since he might get low by Yon. Not surprisingly, Yon makes a Hail Mary play, so we make it a 1-for-1, and Jarvan follows with the flash ult. Neither of us do a lot of damage, but Senna's trapped for long enough that she just very slowly dies. So while we take the dragon, we notice that Renekton is pushed up very far, so we start moving up after the dragon. We use our portal to get behind him, but Senna predicted it and we get counter engaged on. Still though, with Deadman's to stay alive for long enough and the ignite, we get a nice shutdown on the Renekton, which gives us enough gold to buy our man dead. So while we're coming out of the base, let's break down the item. We already talked about the ability haste and Bard's Q and ult, since they're both classified as immobilizing abilities. Along with ability power, mana regen and extra ability haste, it also has a new passive. The passive states that whenever you mobilize an enemy, meaning our Q stun or ult, it marks them for 4 seconds and they will take 6% more damage in that time by anyone on your team and yourself. We don't really care that much about the AP, since Bard has bad AP ratios, and we don't care about the mana regen because we have chimes. But my theory is that the extra abilities, especially on Q and R, is going to be very helpful in longer fights. The passive is a nice bonus as well, but at this point I'm not sure how much extra damage that will do for us. As we come out of base, Yon looks to be a little overextended, so we portal in to help the Victor. We didn't proc Mandate with a stun, but the extra AP helps Electrocute deal more damage, and we still get the kill. While we help Victor with the tower, we notice that mid lane has started a fight, so we intercept the Seraphine and get another cheeky kill with the Electrocute. Now remember, the Mandate doesn't give you any resistances, so now we have to buy an item that gives us resistances. We are a bit late to the Herald fight, but Senna agrees for another wave, so we portal in. We aim our ult in front of her, so she dodges backwards, so it was easy for us to just walk up and kill with the Electrocute again. We notice that Renekton is sieging top tower, so with nothing else happening in the map, we try to defend it. As he walks up, we angle ourselves for stun, and with the 6% damage amp, you can really see how much damage we do when Renekton has HP and mercs. We don't get the kill, but we manage to chunk half of his HP with just a few auto attacks. Seeing the dragon is spawning, we head down to bot side to join the fight. We see Senna slightly out of position, so we walk right into her to punish. We miss the Q, but since Mandate gives us another 15 abilities on it, we can ult and our Q comes off cooldown right after it, basically giving us a solo kill. Chat asked us about the damage numbers, so here it is. The damage numbers, 167, like it's done no damage right now. But it's also not really built for the damage, right? It's built for the 30 haste. So yeah, the play you just saw shows that having Mandate and no other haste items still lets you have Q and R up a lot more. After we get the dragon, we notice that the enemy is again pushing a bit too far up. Even though the Senna flashes away from Jarvan, the rest of their team tries to follow up. We managed to chunk Renekton out with the stun and damage amp, and when Victor places the slow, it gave us a really good angle to catch the flashless Senna with our ult and an easy kill. Since we walked into a choke point, Seraphine gets a really good catch on us. We do as much damage as we can to Renekton, and it gets really close. It turns out to be a bigger mistake than just our death, because Lilia runs in and cleans up the Victor as well. Remember that since Mandate doesn't make us tankier, we can't position ourselves in the way we usually do until we buy more tank items. And it's definitely not the last time we're getting punished for it. Now on respawn, we know that Victor is the most vulnerable, so we ward ahead to make sure he's safe to push up bot lane. On the way down, we run into Yone and just take a look at how many times we get to use the Q this fight. Fuck you, Yone. That was kinda clean. So with that very clean play, we get to take the Baron. Since we don't do damage to the Baron, our job is to make sure the enemy team doesn't get close to them, like this Renekton. Well, you see, the play I just did against Yone would only works because I have so much haste, right? Again, since we need to get tank items, our next item is steel caps, since the majority of the damage comes from their auto attacks. Chat asked a valid question about comparing it to Lathyrus, since Lathyrus gives a bit of health as well. And the damage is still not bad, right? Because like that's 65 AP sure, but there's also 6% more damage. Now that we have the Baron buff, Dragon is usually the next play to snowball, so we pass towards it. Our team just wanted to run at them though, and even though Jarvan gets low, it looks like it still works. We move to top side to help them, and Seraphine dodges our ult with her W. But while we are chasing her, the Yone decides that he wants round 2 with us. We chunk him out again, and he quickly gives up. Nope. We get to siege the mid tower, but for whatever reason, we get a little greedy for the plating, and we get caught and we die for no real reason here. Me noob. This doesn't have anything to do with Mandate, it was just a weird play, and even chat agreed. Now that we have an armor and magic resist, we are not exactly sure what to buy. I actually don't know what to build right now, so I'm just gonna fucking hold. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna go Knight's Vow, then I'm just gonna be very successful to MR. On the way to Baron, Senna decides the Tribrush was safe. We engage with the Blast Cone and miss the Q. But we chase with the Portal and hit a really nice Q flash stun for the damage amp. And just look at this damage. We even use our Q for the 3rd time this fight. You really can't do that with Liandry. And then, for whatever reason, Lilia decides to run it down mid. We use our movement speed to space her out, and she decides to walk up to our wave and use her entire kit, so we burst her down. Seraphine tries to save her, but he just makes a great target for our ult. She uses Aurelius and Flash to try to get away, but we chase with Portal and slow her with Q for the Jarvan. Thankfully again, we prioritize buying MR, so we get to survive. Fucking die with fire, dude. This is why it's so important to prioritize tank items with Mandate, because we might have died if we didn't buy the Abyssal Mask and the Spectral Scowl, which we can now upgrade to Koenig. It's a really good item to finish out our build when Seraphine has a lot of poke with her Q. Now, since we recalled, our team is in a bit of danger when their topside jungler isn't warded. Our Jarvan and Cho'Gath get caught, but not without killing 3 of them first. Thankfully, we get there on time and find a great stun on Lilia for the damage. We also see Seraphine running alongside the wall, so we portal into her and catch her as well, giving us the ace. With all of them dead, we push into the base and win our first game. Huzzah! So now that the first game is done, what do we think about the item? So far, it's really good. You can see how much damage we can do with just 2 items, but what makes this item even better is the ability haste. Since our Q and R have low cooldowns, we can keep enemy champions locked down, which let us do more damage with our meeps. Now, even though we love this item from this game, we can't make a solid conclusion from just one game. So, let's see if the item is actually good or if it was just a fluke. Before that though, a quick word from our sponsor. Games are getting expensive now, so whenever there's something I want to buy, Eneba is a great place to check out. It's a digital marketplace that offers 40,000 games and gift cards across a ton of platforms, including PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. And it's not just older games, you can sometimes find discounts on newer games too, and it can save you a surprising amount of money over time. They also have cashback on certain purchases, so part of what you spend can go towards your next game as well. After buying, you just redeem the code on your platform and the game gets added to your library. Eneba also has 4.3 Trustpilot score with almost 300,000 reviews plus 24/7 live support if you run into any issues. So if there is a game you've been looking to buy, check out Eneba with the link in the description. Thank you to Eneba for sponsoring this video. Next game, we are playing against Ezreal and Karma. Karma's main damaging ability is a Q, so once he uses it, we have a few seconds to fight back. As we walk into lane, Karma misses our empowered Q, which gives us a window to walk up and trade. Since he walked into the brush, we don't want to walk in too far and get targeted by Ezreal. Now, normally, bot lane would ward the middle brush to make sure they get vision of it. When we tested it, it looks like it wasn't warded, so it just lets us keep harassing the Karma from the brush, making it hard for her to even fight back. As we poke them down, Diana pings to gank, so we place a portal behind them. Unfortunately, Caitlyn stayed behind the wave, making it a 2v2 under the turret and leaving us with less health. We were about to cut our losses and recall, but Diana really wants to make her time worth it, so we place a portal to let her through. It seems like the Karma was ready though, cause he used Empower W and E to stay alive, which leads to Ezreal killing both of us and almost killing our Caitlyn as well. This is our first death, but it is definitely not our last. On respawn, we move towards mid to see if we can catch out the Yone. The moment Xin hits the knockup, we instantly place the portal to catch him. Even with the Yone E and shield, we manage to burst him down and get a decent kill. With that, we can stay in lane to help Xin crash the wave. The reason why we stay with the Xin is so we can get some experience back that we lost from roaming, and we make sure that Yone loses the golden experience to the tower as well. But because we were taking too long to crash the wave, it gives Lathyrus enough time to try for a gank. We react by placing a portal earlier and wait to go through it with Xin. Lathyrus decides to gamble his life away by following and manages to kill Xin, but not without dying to the Diana. The 1-for-1 would be worth it since Yone is sacrificing minions at his tower to fight us, but even with our Q stun he manages to kill us, so now it's not worth it. So this is death number 2. Thanks, Pokarlson. Now, remember, since we are buying Bandit, our build path has no resistances. So along with our deadmans, we buy Adornsum first. As we come out of base, since there's no obvious play, we path mid, so it's easy to move top or bot if something happens. Sure enough, we see Caitlyn defending the mid tower, so we stay with her to keep her safe. We try to harass the Ezreal, but the very fed Lathyrus decides that it's time for us to die. It gets worse, because our death also leads to Caitlyn getting caught as well. The Diana tries to follow up, but she doesn't do enough damage and the rest of Lathyrus' team quickly cleans her up. You could say we shouldn't have walked up at all, but if we got tank items, we might have survived, which would have also led to the butterfly effect of Caitlyn and Diana surviving as well. On the way back, we see that Yone has picked a fight with our Pantheon. Maybe he didn't need our help, but we heal him with W's and we secured the kill since we are not completely sure if Pantheon will live. Since Xin pushed really far up, he gets caught, which means we do have to give up the Herald. When we scout the Herald with the plant though, it looks like they didn't start it, so that's pretty lucky for us. With 650 gold, we have the combined cost for Mandate, so we start our recall. We see Lathyrus though, so we stun him with her dogs. Caitlyn misses the trap, and she jumps on the Caitlyn before we can ult her. Of course, we die here because again we have no resistances, but at least we can get Mandate now. On the way back to lane with our new shiny item, we see a greedy Yone diving our Caitlyn. We pass behind him and secure the kill since I don't think the Caitlyn ult was enough. But in a complete surprise, what? Who even is on Baron with him? Ezreal was not even on Baron. Did Lathyrus solo the Baron as it spawned? Okay, well, now that we are playing on hard mode, we see the Lathyrus bot side, so we take advantage of that by sieging their mid as quickly as we possibly can. Karma tries to clear the wave, but we still get the tower. We portal onto the left, away from where we last saw the Lathyrus, but she still ends up behind us. We do our best to ult her target, but with the Yone and Karma on top of our Diana, there's no way any of us get out when Lathyrus gets reset after reset. What is slowing me this much? The fucking Cyrilda's Grudge is giving me the Rylai's effect continuously on her fucking dot or what? As much as we like Mended in the first game, you can see that the item is pretty useless if no one is alive to use the damage amp. So that's not great. As we come back from base, Shen hits the vision plane and notices Lathyrus at her top side jungle. We use our sweeper to make sure she doesn't see us, and we send our ult to proc the damage amp from Mended. Luckily, no one was close, and we get a massive 1000 gold shutdown for our Shen. Killing Lathyrus gave our Pantheon the confidence to ult mid, so we used our ult as well to catch the Karma. You notice that the cannon was really close to us, and we didn't have the damage time from Ended. Karma would have taken longer to die, and cannon could have ulted us. We also see Yone on the side getting a bit too confident. Diana uses Sonya's to keep herself alive, and gives us another kill for free. The cannon and Ezreal arrive a bit too late, and we react by hitting a great double stun on both of them. The damage amp almost let us kill the cannon, but because we don't have magic resist, we die very quickly before next Q comes back. The rest of our team followed up, so they get the Ezreal as well. As much as it hurts to die from the cannon, the rest of their team is still AD. Since Shin is our main win con, we go Chain Vest to build into Night's Vow, just to make sure he gets to stay alive as long as possible and to peel for the rest of our team. As we come back to lane, we see that Pantheon gets ambushed by both Kennen and Lathyrus, but since they are both bot lane when Baron is spawning, it gives us a window to get prio at mid lane and clear vision around the area. We place all our wards and we recall to refresh them while also buying the Night's Vow. Unfortunately, they caught up to us and cancelled our recall, which means we can't reset on time for Night's Vow. We also get poked out, so we are already out of the fight. Shin tries to move up and gets caught, but he uses Sonya's to save himself, so we use our ult to let Shin escape safely. After they get Baron, for whatever reason Caitlyn tries to interrupt them by making another Hail Mary play, which leaves her dead after we have all decided to reset without her. We see Ezreal and Karma at mid, so we decide to cancel recall to try to flank them. As we start moving, Pantheon and Sin engaged by themselves, and it ended up being a 1-for-1. We keep moving to mid lane and we walk into the brush to try surprising Lathyrus with a stun. She predicts it, follows us through the portal, and the Q haze from Mended lets us stun her on the wall. Our stun blocks the damage amp, which lets Diana finish off the Lathyrus, and we try to get away from the Yone with the portal and flash. But with the knock-up it just wasn't enough, which then leaves Diana alone. She dies as well, and the dragon was theirs to take. Even though we have 3 items with armor, having no HP makes it really hard for us to stay alive in the fight, and giving Lathyrus so much gold makes the game way harder for us now. Since we're super behind on gold now, the mentality we have is to slow down the game as much as possible and let our team farm up and scale. The best way to do that right now will be to push waves and buy more time for us. Since we are pushing mid lane, we try to place vision in our topside jungle. We run into the Yone and he somehow ults past us to knock up the Caitlyn and kill her. Theoretically, if we did go tank and took the Yone ult, even if we die from it, we might have bought more time for the Caitlyn to walk out and she could have helped to defend the siege. Since she died though, we can't really lock down anyone with our ult and trap combo, so they can just run into our base and we get our first loss. So looking back, this wasn't the best game for Mandate. We still had some really good moments, but if your positioning is wrong or if your teammates get caught first, it's really hard for us to use Mandate well. Since you have one less tank item, it's harder to peel for your teammates as well. But with this lost game, we have 2 games with two different experiences. With that, let's take what we have learned and try Mandate one last game. Our third and last game is versus Vayne and Janna. As we walk up to lane, we see that the middle brush is warded, so we can't hide in the brush to juggle minion aggro. They even warded the bottom brush, so we can't manage aggro there either. With Electrocute, we burst down Janna way faster than she expected. We're able to force her to use heal, but since Siri is still behind us, he can't really contribute to the fight, and Vayne just slowly runs us down. As we run back to our tower, maybe Vayne thought having one kill made her guard, so she thought diving the Siri was the next best play. Janna compensates for her and she gets punished as well. Okay, I don't want to lose to these people. We decide to push our lead by crashing the wave, and as Janna comes back to lane, Vayne decides that it's time to engage. Vayne almost dies but gets away, so Janna decides to ult. We counter with our own ult and our Q flash auto almost kills the Vayne again. Unfortunately, it's still not enough, so we give a portal to Siri to disengage. For whatever reason, Janna decides to follow through with her portal. She almost kills both of us, but we heal ourselves just enough to survive. Vayne kills the Siri, but it was still worth it since the wave is now pushing to us, so Siri will be able to catch the wave at her tower when she respawns. So with that, we buy our deadmans. Once again, we move bot, since there's nothing to do mid and top, and the bot wave is about to bounce back to their side. Right as we join Siri, Vayne gets hit by the Siri slow, which lets us portal behind her and get an unexpected kill. This is why Janna should not be roaming, because Vayne has to walk up to crash the wave, and without Janna she gets punished exactly like she did here. With the assist goal, we get a recall and buy all their components for mandate. Since the item is just 2400 gold, we can complete the item super quickly, which lets us buy tank items soon as well. While we prepare for the Herald, we see Kha'Zix and Janna very briefly at mid. They disappear at bot side, so with no other objectives up, we are confident that they are about to dive Siri. With that knowledge, we head down as fast as we can. Right as we hit the vision plant, we see exactly what we predicted. With Kha'Zix and Janna in the tri-brush, Janna decides to take a greedy path downwards, which gives us a free ult. From there, we hit a guaranteed Q and Electrocute and get another kill. Nocturne predicted the dive as well, so he's ready to ult the Kha'Zix, and even with his R, we get a kill on him as well. Maybe it was Nocturne's ult, but Twisted Fate decides to stay with the wave, which lets us flank him with the Siri and gets us our third kill in the fight. This Janna is just so disrespectful, by the way. Like, she keeps like walking into us. She's been doing it since level 1, and we weren't just really able to punish it level 1, but like now we can now. And now he just starts permadying from it. So with all the gold we get our mandate at the 15-minute mark. So with an extra item, we are feeling extra confident, so we move into the top side jungle to help Nocturne secure the Herald. While we are warding, we find a surprise Kha'Zix, so we start by proccing Electrocute with the auto Q, and the ability haste lets us hit a Q stun on the ward. We almost kill him with the Ignite, but the enemy team decided that it was no longer a 1v1, so we died to 3 of them. Okay, that's not a 1v1. What about you let us men fucking do a 1v1 instead of a fucking 1v3? Which elo is this? Challenger. And in Challenger, we almost 1v1 a jungler with just 2 items. If that doesn't show you how strong main it is, I don't know what would. Still though, we do have to be careful with our positioning since we can still get caught like this very easily. You can see this again in this next fight, when we use the AoE from our meeps to slow Vayne down and do a bit of poke damage. We try to bait her in and Q her on a minion, but we miss and very quickly get bursted down along with the Siri. That's my bad, my Q didn't hit the minion. We learn from our mistake and we move top to siege the tower. On the way there though, we find Kha'Zix greeting for his Crocs. We place a portal, but we don't go through it and we don't ult, since we don't want to ult Nocturne's target. We stay right behind him to make sure he doesn't get engaged on, and we then ult the Kha'Zix lagging behind. Once again, we got a little greedy, and we get run down by Kha'Zix and Janna. I didn't have portal up as I thought I had. I was a bit grief. I am doing some stupid shit. I'm doing a lot of good shit, and then I do some stupid shit right after. So with the stupid shit over, we take control of the top side jungle to get ready for the Drake. We see 3 of them at a choke point, but again, we hold the ult because we don't want to ult Nocturne's target, and once Nocturne disengages, then we ult, hitting mandate on 3 of them. We learn from our deaths and we position a bit more in the backline and let our team do the damage. Because of that, we get to stay alive this time and we make it a 3-for-0. So with 3 of them dead, it gives us a free tower, the inhibitor and the dragon. We take control of their jungle and we see Janna moving up too far again to place vision. We immediately ult right as Nocturne had the same target. Since none of her teammates walked in though, we don't get punished for it, thank god. So this is why we hold our ult whenever we start a team fight, because we don't want to accidentally ult the Nocturne when he ults the same target. Sins gets a random kill on Vayne, so we start pathing towards Baron, but Siri gets caught by Twisted Fate and Kha'Zix from Fog. Since Nocturne doesn't have ult, it was a lost fight, so we chose to save our ult and dip out with our portal. Even though our AD carry dies, our team was super confident, so when the enemy team shows up mid, both Taliyah and Nocturne use their cross map ults, we hit a really good stun with the Kha'Zix. And again, we hold our ult until they weren't getting focused on. The Mandate Haste gets our Q up again, we hit a stun, and we clear up both of them with the damage amp. This is the point where I would say we destroy the Nexus and win, but the Vayne and Vlad perfectly dodge our damage and quickly send our Nocturne and Sins back to base. Luckily, our Fed Siri is back from the dead, so as we start hitting their Nexus, we position ourselves between Siri and Vayne to peel for her, while she helps to finish our last game with a win. So this was a much more balanced game. We had lots of good plays, but we made a few mistakes as well. So with that, let's revisit our 3 questions. 1. How much damage can we do? The answer is quite a lot actually, and in a few ways. The small bit of AP lets us do a bit more damage with our Meeps, our Q and our Execute. The passive damage amp feels very good, but as you saw in the last few games, the item stats don't really show high numbers, but the value of these items come from the ability haste, especially on your Q and ult. When we kept locking people down, it doesn't just let us do more damage, but it lets the rest of our team do more damage as well. So it's actually more damage than the items that show. Question 2. Is Bard tanky enough with the item? Honestly, yes. Even though we died a lot with the item, most of these deaths come from bad positioning and when the opponent was already ahead. Even though the item itself doesn't give us tank stats, it's only 2400 gold, so it lets us start getting tank items faster than buying Leandry. So now, we're left with one last question. Is this an item you can buy every game? We have played with this item 3 times, and even though every game was a little different, the item still feels consistent every time. You should still buy Deathmatch first, and you should ideally buy tank items after. But unless the item gets nerfed, I can confirm that Imperial Mandate is fantastic as a second item. Now, if you're still not convinced, I've been streaming with the item for the last few days, and I'll continue playing with it after this video is uploaded. As always, you can leave a comment or send a message on Discord if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next one. Peace out.